Let's start with just a few seconds as to why I think that I'm qualified to have an opinion on what we're going to talk about. I have been dinking around with cars, with old cars and stuff, since I was 16 years, 40 years, let's put it that way. A little over, I was doing it before I had a license. A little over 40 years now I've been dinking around with old cars. I am a auto body collision tech, a red seal journeyman in Canada. I've been in the auto body trade for 36 years, 37 years. And I have been self-employed in my own shop working on old shit like this for about 19 years now. So collectively in that time, I know a couple things about cars. And I've bought some shit, and I've built some stuff, and I've sold some stuff. So that's why I think that I'm qualified to have an opinion on this. So you're looking at, you want to get into an old car. You got your favorite old car, whatever the hell it is that you like, that you want to get into. I don't know what you like. What do you like? Huh? What do you like? Doesn't matter what you like. The process of building yourself your favorite car is the same, no matter what you want to get into building, whether it's an old car, an old truck, or I don't know, a motorbike, a go-kart, whatever the hell you want to do. It's all going to be the same. You're going to have to look at, ask yourself some questions and be honest with yourself and figure some shit out before you just jump into it. I think the first thing that you need to think about if you're going to do this is, can you afford it? Are you in a financial place to be able to do it? And one of the reasons that's so important is if you have a look on whatever your classifieds are, wherever you live, be it Craigslist or Kijiji or even eBay or whatever, have a look there at how many vehicles can you buy off of whatever those classifieds are. That's a project that's been started. It's an old car, an old truck that's all tore apart. Comes with a bunch of new parts. There's some stuff done. There's some spray bomb on it to hide some shit. There's maybe some primer on it or whatever. And it's always, my loss is your gain. I got 10 grand into this thing and I'll sell it to you for 6. You know why that is? 9 times out of 10, no matter what they tell you, it's because they started it, they got in over their head quickly, and they couldn't afford it, so now they got to bail on it, and they just need to recoup whatever they put on credit cards and shit to get that paid off. So they're going to take a loss to get rid of it. So you got to be honest with yourself. Can you afford it? If you think that you can set aside $20,000 to build a car, I guarantee you that ain't going to be enough. And I mean, that is going to depend on what kind of car you get, what kind of car you wind up buying, but it ain't going to be enough. So you got to be honest about that, and you got to be honest about the time frame that you can spread the money out over, because it's going to cost money. There's no two ways about it. And very, very few instances is it going to be cheaper to build one than buy one. You're always going to be able to buy one that's done cheaper than you're going to be able to build it yourself. So if that's a thing, then, I mean, don't sweat it when people say it's got to be built and not bought. Just because you don't know how to weld, get out of here, fatty cakes. Just because you don't know how to weld, or you don't know how to lap in a set of valves on a cylinder head, or you don't know how to tune a Holley carburetor, does that mean that you shouldn't be able to drive a cool old car? No, go buy one, goddammit. So, anyways, that's like I say, that's going to be the first thing, is making sure that you got the financial wherewithal to follow it through, if you want to follow it through, because you're not going to be happy and you're going to get browned off about the whole thing. So be honest with yourself, because it's going to be pricey. Once you figure out whether or not you can afford it, or once you're willing to make the financial commitment to lose a bunch of money on it, because it ain't a money maker, you need to figure out what you want. What kind of a car do you want to buy? What's your favorite car? What do you like, a 1970 Mercury Cougar? Is that what you're talking about? So before you go out and you find your 1970 Mercury Cougar, get online, turn on a computer, fire up your phone, whatever you got to do, and look at all kinds of stuff about them. Look at I mean, look at what they're worth done. I mean, is that worth sinking some money into? Because are you going to keep the car for the rest of your life, or are you going to wind up flogging it in a couple of years? Look up, and I mean a real big thing that people don't think about, and this is very important. Look at availability of the cars. One thing to keep in mind, if you want something that nobody else has and you want a rare car, something that's really cool, and you're going to build it, keep in mind, if it's a rare car, the parts are rare. And the rarer the parts, the harder they are to find used decent parts, and the less chance there is that somebody reproduces those parts, because they only reproduce parts that they can sell. Case in point, a little while back, a few years back, I did a little bit of work on a fella's 68 Beaumont convertible. If you've never heard of one of those, don't sweat it. Beaumont is like a Canadian Chevelle. Honestly, I always thought that they were made by Pontiac, but I've seen lots of controversy that says that Beaumonts were their own thing that GM produced. I don't know. Whatever, it don't matter. The point is, in 1968 Beaumonts, they only made them for a half a year because they were being built. I believe the story I got was that they were being built in the States, and then halfway through 68, they switched production from the States into Canada, or vice versa. They were probably made in Canada first, and they stopped production and moved production to the States or to a different part of Canada. I don't know the detail on that. Get off of me about it. Point is, they only made them for half a year. And the convertibles, they only made like 300 of them. And there's a lot of particular parts. Like the Beaumonts, they had their own grills, their own interiors, their own everything. So this fella picked up a 68, and he had no idea how rare all the stuff was. Well, try finding parts for a car they only made 300 of. It was a problem. So think about that when you're thinking about your car. And the way to find that out is just Google the son of a bitch and see how many of them are out there. Have a look up and down your street in your neighborhood. You ever see any? I mean, that's a big thing. Because like I say, if they never made none of them, well, nobody makes no parts for them either, do they? Are you fatty cakes? So yeah, that's a big thing. Is going to be the commonality or the rarity of the car that you're looking at. Pay a lot of attention to the condition of the car that you're buying. And if you think you're looking at it good enough, you're probably not. Look at it even better. One thing that is really a big help, there's so many nooks and crannies in vehicles and cars, and places to, not only places to hide shitty repairs, but places where they're going to start going for shit on you, and you can't really see it, because it's in behind this, or it's in behind that, or it's an inner panel, or whatever the case may be. What do you want, you old fatty cakes? One thing that I've done is, so you're in my phone right now. Take your phone, turn on your camera, turn on your flash, and then set one of your settings for 5 seconds, 2 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever. And then wherever you can't see, take your phone, kind of stuff it down in there as far as you can reach, hit your button and then just wait and take a couple of pictures where you can't see. Make sure you turn your flash on because it'll be dark. You'd be surprised what you might find in there. Chances are the person selling that car, if they got something to hide, they know where they need to hide it, and they know where the problems are. And it's happened to me with vehicles that I've worked on for people, that it comes in and you can see this and you can see this, but you can't see this. So they've been on the inside of the panel in here, and it looks nice on the inside here, it looks nice on the inside there, but where you can't see and where they can't see and where they couldn't reach, that shows the story of exactly what's going on there. Whatever kind of vehicle you want to wind up getting, do some research on the problem areas. Every vehicle out there has its problem areas, and they're common to that model of vehicle, that model of car. But a lot of times, different models, you have to pardon me, I got a cold still, so I might be hucking up a lung here and there. In a lot of cases, different models of vehicles and whatnot, they don't share common areas. So, I mean, you might see 35 different cars that are rusted You know, wherever, in the bottom of the dog leg, inside of a quarter panel at a certain point or something, you might see car after car after car that have a problem there, but it doesn't mean that the 37th car has a problem there. Because, I mean, it might be a different thing. So these trucks for example, this is a 71 GMC here. These trucks are really bad for the rocker panels rusting out. The reason the rocker panels rust out is because there's a little drain hole here in the dash right where my finger is, and that's factory engineered in there because it's stupid. Because they don't think that their windshield seal. And if they put a hole in the dash down there to drain, that's what the hole's for. Then that means the windshield didn't seal. Because that drainage hole there, it piddles water down the inside of the cab down in here, and then there's some channels and some holes, factory made, so that that water will get into that rocker panel. Once that water gets into that rocker panel, it forms mud in the bottom. That's good, isn't it? That's why they rust there. You can get one of these trucks that you haven't even driven the damn thing. It's got 254 miles on it, but you like to wash it once every few months. I'll bet you pretty soon that rocker's going to start to rust. Right, fatty cakes? Here's a big fat cat right here. So yeah, the point there, Google, that Dr. Google, he knows a lot. You think he knows a lot about you? He knows a lot about everything. Google up, the problem areas in whatever it is you're looking for to get, so that you can go and look at it and be informed when you're looking at it. Not just the condition of something that hasn't been repaired yet, but that'll also tell you where to look. If you're buying something that's been done, you'll see where, it'll give you an idea of what has been done and where it's been done and where to look. Where to stuff your phone with the flashlight on to see what kind of repairs they did on the inside and what they might be hiding. Because I tell you what, classic cars, especially nowadays with the cost of everything, it's a real game of hide and seek. And you just got to be a good seeker. I mean, you might want to keep an open mind as to just exactly what you want to get into as far as the old car. Just because you want a 70 Cougar, maybe once you look at all this kind of stuff, maybe it starts to tell you that you don't want a 70 Cougar anymore. Right, fatty cakes? Nobody likes a 70 Cougar anyways, do they? Right, fatty cakes? There's a lot of things to look at and to pay attention to if you're thinking of building a car. I mean, it's not just all about how much it's going to cost to rebuild the motor or how much a new quarter panel costs. How much do seats cost? Seat skins for? How much can you get a dash pad for? Don't get hair all over that, would you? Like, how much can you get carpet? Can you, and of that stuff, what kind of stuff is available for it? And again, that's going to come into your costing of the job as well. Is, like I said, the rarer the car, the more expensive the parts are going to be, because that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? I mean, they're making the damn parts anyways, right? If they're making them, they're making them. So why do they got to be more money? But whatever, that's what they do. Right, Fatty Cakes? If you're wondering who Fatty Cakes is, this is what we got going on in here. See that big fat kitty? That's the big fat kitty. Get out of here. I support Fatty Cakes. Right, Fatty Cakes? So now that you've figured out that you want a 1964 Oldsmobile Buick Torino GT convertible, and you found one, and now you got it in your possession, and you've even started wasting money buying parts for it. You bought some rebuilt taillights for it, you bought a fresh set of hideaway headlights for it, whatever you bought. You bought some chrome valve covers, I don't know, whatever, fuzzy dice, whatever you bought. I don't know what you bought. You bought what you bought, right? You bought what you like. Some pink fuzzy seat covers, whatever you done. So you got it sitting there, you got your parts that you bought and stuff. Now it's time to get other people involved. I mean, you're in good shape if you don't got to get anybody else involved in building your car, and you're not watching this video if that's the case either. So now you got to start getting other people involved. So you got to figure out, you're going to need to do mechanical restoration, most likely, and you're going to need to do a body restoration on it, most likely. So they're going to have to kind of go hand in hand, because you got to tear all the mechanicals out of it before you get the body into it. So now you got to look for a shop or a couple of shops. There's a real avenue there for you to get bent over. I mean, especially if you don't really know. And I mean, you can't really fault, personally, I don't fault people for not knowing, because if you don't know, you don't know. If you're not a car guy, if you're not into the whole car scene, except for the fact that you want one, but you've never worked on one, I mean, there's a lot of people that want a cool car that have never worked on one. So you've got to find some people to work on it for you that hopefully you can trust to get her done. And another thing to look at is how much of the work do you want to do yourself, and how much of the work do they want you to do? And what I mean by that is a lot of vehicles that come in here, like I do a little bit of mechanical work, like I got a car there that I'm doing some mechanical work on, and it's just biting me in the ass the whole way. That's not part of it though. So when I get something in here that I'm going to do the body on, I kind of want to take that body apart, especially if it's never been apart. And the reason being for that generally is everything is adjusted and shimmed up from the factory, because no two cars go together exactly the same. You can have 5 identical cars sitting in a row. You can have 5 1969 Camaros sitting there. Chances are pretty good, if they've never been apart, you can pull the fenders and pull the doors and everything off them, and you can measure this or look at that or whatever, and each car will be different. They'll have a different stack of shims under the fenders. The doors will be set in a little bit different places because there's variances in all of it. So in having to do that, I like to take it apart to see where it's at. Because if you bring me the shell of a car and then a bunch of doors and fenders and stuff, and then just a big bag of bolts, which has happened to me before, well, before I want to start cutting and welding and stuff, I need to see how stuff fit before. It's kind of hard to explain it 100%, but you kind of got to know where stuff was so you know where to put it back to. And if there was a problem with something and you're putting a bunch of new sheet metal or something on a vehicle, well, you need to address that problem before you add all your new sheet metal to it. Does that make sense? I hope so. So anyways, as I said, that's a real avenue for you to get screwed. When you're looking at a shop to do stuff, I've always told people, because there's a lot of stuff that I can't do, because I'm just one guy. Well, I'm one guy over here. You see me? I'm just one guy and a fat kitty. She's got a skinny sister up there, but you hardly ever see Sketchy. Doesn't matter. So what I tell people, and when they're looking for another shop, is if you're shopping for a shop, if you're shopping, and you can drop the thing off this afternoon to get them going on it, I don't know if you should go there. Because one thing to think of is, sure, that's awesome and that's convenient because that you can get your car in there to get it worked on, but that also means they got nothing to do. There might be a reason they got nothing to do. So think about that. If you want to drive your car in the summertime, don't start looking around in December for a shop to restore your car. Even if it's just a paint job or even if it's just simple stuff. Because like I said, if you're going to get somebody decent to do it, chances are pretty good that you're going to have to wait a little bit before they can get to it. And then it's going to take a little bit to do whatever the hell it is that you got to get done. So plan your time out as far as that goes. You know, you can't be panicked, because that ain't going to get you nowhere. When you do find a shop to do it, pay attention, I guess, a little bit to who you're dealing with and their attitude about stuff. Straightforward and to the point is good. They're probably going to get after it and get the job done. And chances are you're not going to be lifelong friends after the fact. So, I mean, why be all warm and fuzzy and give you a hand job right off the bat? Because after a couple of months of working on your car, hopefully they're never going to see you again, because hopefully you're not going back and you don't got to see them again. So they're fine with not seeing you again. So yeah, don't look for somebody to come out and do cartwheels and stuff because you showed up or because you phoned them. If they don't, that's fine. And like I said, being straightforward and to the point, that's probably fine too. That means you're not going to get a bunch of bullshit out of them along the way, hopefully. If you go to a shop and the guy seems a little bit shady, maybe a little bit shifty, whatever, and you don't really get a warm, fuzzy feeling from it, well, trust your instincts 9 times out of 10, because there's probably a reason for that. I do know of where I'm at, there is a few shady operations going on around here, and they do continue to get work. And there has been people that are happy with them. 1 out of 5 customers gets a fair shake out of them and gets a good job out of them. 4 out of 5 customers, It's not a good story. And a lot of times the vehicle doesn't even get finished there. And actually, this is just a funny example of something that somebody did. So a shop around here, a local shop, I won't say no names, but I assume it must have been somebody that had something to do with farms, got some work done there. They weren't happy with the shop, weren't happy with the guy, weren't happy with the way they were treated. So bright and early on a Monday morning, I thought, imagine while it was still dark out, they went in and right in front of the front door of the shop, they dumped, I'm going to say, a 10 or a 12 yard gravel truck full of steaming poo. I think he was probably a cattle farmer to have access to that much poo, but I saw a picture of it, and in the morning sunrise, there was steam coming off of it, and it was piled as high as that front door and right up to the building. So if you go to a shop and there's a big pile of poo in front of the front door, maybe keep on driving. Don't go into that shop. That's a funny one. Another thing, if you're picking a shop, be leery if they want a huge down payment on the job. Because if they tell you that it's going to be 20 grand to paint your car and they want 10 grand up front, that means that they're using your upfront money to pay for that guy's car. Because you don't need, saying that you want it for customer commitment is one thing, but you don't need to pony up thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to prove the commitment. You're already dropping off a car and you're committing to doing a whole bunch of work to it and spending a lot of money as it goes. So yeah, be leery if they want a big, huge down payment or whatever, and especially if they give you a big song and dance. Yeah, materials and stuff are expensive. All that shit is just more and more money every day. But you're not dropping your car off on Monday and they're dumping $10,000 worth of products and materials into the thing by Friday. It's going to be a slow process. They're not going to use any materials for shit. It's going to be 100 hours before they got to put any materials into your car. If it's something that's rusty and they're cutting and welding, well, that's all labor. It's not materials. So be leery of that. If they want a big, huge down payment, like I say, that means that you're paying for somebody else's stuff. And the chances are pretty good that whoever stuff you're paying for, that guy paid for somebody else's stuff before that. And if they do want that, that's a pretty good indication that you probably don't want to get your car fixed there. Over the course of time while they're working on your car, if they don't want you in there, if you can't get a hold of them or whatever, that's kind of a red flag too. With what I do here, I invite everybody. I got nothing to hide. I'm doing what needs to be done on the job. Anybody's welcome to come anytime. I do say, give me a call first to make sure I'm here, because if I'm not here, then I'm out in the country, like I'm not in town. So you're wasting a trip. You should be able to have some sort of a ballparky conversation with the place that's doing the work on your vehicle, on your car, the body shop, or whatever. You should be able to have some sort of a ballpark conversation as to what the materials are going to cost. They're not going to be able to pin it down, but they should be able to tell you, what the hell's going on here? They should be able to tell you something. So if you bring a car to me, I can tell you right off the bat, and you ask me about pricing. I can't really tell you labor, but what did I start doing here? I can tell you, because I know, that, what the smelly hell am I doing? See, I'm talking and I'm not paying attention. I can tell you that the liquids are going to be, now liquids to do a job, so to do this truck, to do that truck, there's a Firebird behind you. The liquids involved is probably going to be in the ballpark of $3,000. Maybe a little bit less, probably not more. $3,000 is probably on the high side. That truck will be base clear, and it's going to be a couple of colors. Not a fatty cakes. This truck will be a lot of single stage painting on this truck, so that's a little bit cheaper. But I can tell you that, like I say, plan on $3,000 just for liquid. That's just to buy liquid. That's not even to put the liquid in a paint gun. That's just buying a box full of cans. So, that's liquid. You got paper, you got tape, you got whatever you need for fillers. If you're welding stuff up, Wire for the MIG welder costs money. A bottle of gas for a welder costs money. Everything costs money to do it. So there's going to be, what do they call those? Because you got your look, whatever. There's going to be other costs involved as well, other material costs involved as well. So, yeah, the point I was making is they should be able to give you some kind of a ballparky idea as to where you're going to be materials-wise. Because if the liquids are going to cost you, like I say, in the ballpark of $3,000, well, then you can probably count on it being $4,000, $4,500 worth of materials. Call it $5,000 for materials. Well, now when getting your car painted, there's $5,000 and nothing's been done yet. See what I'm saying? It's expensive, isn't it? And nothing's been done yet. I mean, that's $5,000 and they haven't even done any shitty work to your car yet that you got to sue them over. The cost of materials is going to depend largely on the quality of materials. Like I say, now I'm talking in Canadian monies, but so if I tell you that, but you go somewhere else and somebody else tells you, oh, I can do it for, it won't even be $1,500. Well, you don't want that stuff on there because that's shit. That's going to Walmart and buying primer and stuff, kind of products. That's failure in a can. As far as mechanical costs and stuff go, I mean, like for getting that part of it done, I can't really speak to that. I know that there's a Firebird back there that has a 10-bolt rear end in it, and it turned out when I got to looking inside the rear end that it needed work. So I took it to a place to have the rear end rebuilt. So that is to rebuild it. I mean, of course, nowadays everybody says it needs everything, right? Nothing ever is just a simple little, we put a new posi in it and we put a gear set in it for you because you want to change your gear ratios and everything's good. That never happens. Everything needs to be rebuilt from top to bottom nowadays, right? Having said that, it winds up being a $3,600 rear end for that Pontiac. I don't have any control over that. I don't have any control over the prices. I mean, that's what it is. That's the rear end for that car. That's just the rear end. Are you getting me? I mean, that's in the rear end for the rear end for that car. That's a lot of money because that car is a 404-speed motor Pontiac. So the motor's been rebuilt. I guarantee you that wasn't free. Transmission's been gone through. That wasn't free. You know, you add that. Say you got now we're going back to the cost again. Say you got a car that's decent, it's going to cost you $20,000 for a paint job. Well, now a paint job in a rear end is almost $2,400. A paint job or rear end are $24,000. A paint job, a rear end, and a motor, well, now we're at $33,000, $34,000. On and on and on. It ain't got carpet in it yet. It ain't got a headliner in it. It ain't got the seats recovered. See what I'm saying to you? Again, with the money, you're way better off if you can find what you want to get one that's already done. And people who look at you go, you didn't build that. No, I didn't. You did build yours and you're stupid. Either that or you have a vastly expendable income to be able to put into it. Because it's expensive. Did I say it was expensive? I'm asking this up for primer. It takes an extra... what's it taking me? Half an hour to tape it up for primer. But if I just let all the primer just blow all over the place inside, well, I'm going to paint the inside too. So the half an hour that I spend doing this, it'll take me an hour to clean all the primer up on the inside of the cab afterwards. So we're better off doing this. So by now, you might be looking at those ads a little differently for them cars or them trucks or whatever that are tore apart, and my loss is your gain. You know, maybe there's a whole other story behind that thing that is your gain. It's hard to say, right? Am I right or am I right? I'm right. It's like they say about buying and selling old cars. You either lost or you made your money when you bought it. I guess that probably about wraps up any useful tips or pointers I can give you. Like I said, I've been around a while. I've done some stuff and I've seen some stuff and I've heard some stuff. And a lot of the stuff that, you might be saying, a lot of the stuff that I just told you just now is common sense, and well, if you don't think of that, well, you're stupid. Well, sometimes the simple stuff is the easy stuff to overlook. You know what I mean? And sometimes you can get involved and you can get in over your head before you even know what's happening. So, yeah, if you're going to do something like this, I mean, plan it out, think about it, don't jump into it, and do a lot of research before you get into it. Look at what you're buying. Look at how much money you want to spend on it. Look at how much it's going to be worth when it's done. If you got anything out of that, awesome. Glad you watched it, and see you again. Or maybe you'll see me again or something. I don't know. Thanks.